Africa, a continent of vibrant cultures, diverse landscapes, and immense potential, is grappling with a recurring challenge: military takeovers. From the Sahel's arid plains to the bustling cities of West Africa, the sight of soldiers seizing power has become an unwelcome spectacle. These coups d'etat, often swift and decisive, send shockwaves through the international community, raising concerns about stability, democracy, and human rights. The frequency of these events begs the question: why does the military, an institution meant to protect the nation, so often turn into its master? Why do some segments of African society view the military as saviors, welcoming their intervention in the political sphere? The answer lies in the deep-seated disillusionment with civilian governments, often perceived as corrupt, ineffective, and detached from the needs of the people. When faced with economic hardship, social unrest, or political instability, the military, with its aura of discipline and decisiveness, can appear as a beacon of hope. The prevalence of military takeovers in Africa is not solely attributable to the actions of ambitious generals. It is also a symptom of deeper structural problems that have plagued the continent since independence. The legacy of colonialism, with its artificial borders, extractive economies, and divide-and-rule tactics, left many African nations ill-prepared for the challenges of self-governance. Decades of economic mismanagement, corruption, and political instability have eroded public trust in democratic institutions. Elections, often marred by irregularities and violence, are seen by many as a mere charade, a tool for elites to maintain their grip on power. To understand the military's enduring presence in African politics, we must first delve into the continent's colonial past. European powers, driven by greed and imperial ambition, carved up Africa with little regard for existing ethnic, cultural, or linguistic boundaries. This arbitrary division sowed the seeds of future conflicts, creating artificial states with diverse populations often pitted against each other. The post-colonial era brought new challenges to Africa, as the continent became a battleground for Cold War rivalries. The United States and the Soviet Union, vying for global dominance, sought to expand their spheres of influence, often supporting authoritarian regimes that aligned with their ideological interests. This external interference further destabilized the region, exacerbating existing tensions and undermining fragile democratic institutions. The end of colonial rule did not usher in an era of peace and prosperity for Africa. Many newly independent nations struggled to overcome the legacy of colonialism, grappling with weak institutions, ethnic divisions, and underdeveloped economies. The euphoria of independence soon gave way to disillusionment, as the promised dividends of freedom failed to materialize for the majority of the population. Mali, a landlocked nation in West Africa, once a beacon of democracy and stability in the region, has become a stark illustration of the complex interplay between military intervention, governance failures, and the allure of the uniform. Haunted by a history of coups and plagued by deep-seated challenges, Mali's descent into turmoil reveals the fragility of democratic institutions and the cyclical nature of military takeovers. The Sahel region, where Mali lies, has become a hotbed of instability, grappling with poverty, climate change, and the rise of violent extremism. Section 2. A legacy of coups sowing the seeds of discontent. The 2012 coup was not an isolated incident in Mali's history. It was rather a symptom of a deeper malaise, a legacy of military intervention in politics that had plagued the country since its independence from France in 1960. Mali's first coup, in 1968, led by Lieutenant Moussa Traoré, ushered in an era of authoritarian rule that lasted for over 2 decades. Traoré's regime, characterized by repression, corruption, and economic stagnation, sowed the seeds of discontent that would fuel future unrest. The 1991 coup, led by Amadou Toumani Touré, brought an end to Traoré's dictatorship and ushered in a period of multi-party democracy. Section 3. From barracks to ballot box, a difficult transition. The international community, alarmed by the deteriorating situation in Mali, intervened to support the restoration of constitutional order. French forces under Operation Serval played a crucial role in pushing back Islamist militants from major urban centers. The United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, also known as MINUSMA, was established to support the peace process, protect civilians, and promote human rights. The transition back to civilian rule has been fraught with challenges. Section 1. Niger, a country held hostage by its history. Niger, a vast landlocked nation in the heart of the Sahel, stands as a stark reminder of how historical legacies, political instability, and the allure of military solutions can converge to trap a country in a cycle of coups and underdevelopment. Despite its abundant mineral resources, Niger remains one of the poorest countries in the world, its people enduring chronic poverty, hunger, and a precarious security environment. The roots of Niger's current predicament run deep, entangled with the legacy of French colonialism, which left the country with weak institutions, artificial borders that cut across ethnic lines, and an economy heavily reliant on the export of raw materials. Niger's history is littered with the wreckage of coups, each leaving behind a trail of unfulfilled promises and deepening public cynicism towards the possibility of genuine democratic change. The 1996 coup, led by Colonel Ibrahim Ba Mainasara, overthrew the democratically elected government of President Mahamadou Ousmane, promising to restore order and revive the economy. However, Mainasara's regime proved to be no different from its predecessors, marked by repression, corruption, and economic stagnation. The recurring cycle of coups and political instability in Niger has had a devastating impact on the country's development prospects, trapping it in a vicious circle of poverty, insecurity, and underdevelopment. Each coup, regardless of the intentions of its leaders, has disrupted governance, eroded institutional capacity, and undermined the rule of law, creating an environment conducive to corruption, impunity, and a lack of accountability. The constant threat of military intervention has also discouraged foreign investment, stifled private sector growth, and diverted scarce resources away from essential social services, such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. The lack of economic opportunity, coupled with rapid population growth and the impact of climate change, has fueled poverty, unemployment, and social unrest, creating fertile ground for extremist groups seeking to exploit grievances and recruit disillusioned youth. Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation in West Africa, carries a history etched with military coups, each one a testament to the enduring allure of the soldier as savior. Yet, beneath the surface of swift takeovers and promises of change lies a nation grappling with the harsh realities of this recurring pattern. The revolutionary zeal that once ignited hope, embodied in the iconic figure of Thomas Sankara, has faded, replaced by a cycle of instability that continues to hinder the nation's progress. Known as Upper Volta before Sankara's reign, Burkina Faso has long been plagued by poverty, inequality, and a sense of marginalization on the world stage. Section 2. A history steeped in coups from Sankara to the present. The spectre of Thomas Sankara looms large over Burkina Faso's history. A charismatic military officer with a revolutionary vision, Sankara seized power in 1983, promising to transform the nation into a beacon of self-reliance and social justice. His ambitious reforms, aimed at eradicating corruption, promoting gender equality, and improving healthcare and education, captured the imagination of many, particularly the youth, who saw in him a leader truly committed to their aspirations. However, Sankara's rule was tragically cut short in 1987 when he was assassinated in a coup led by his close friend and comrade, Blaise Compaoré. Compaoré's regime, a stark departure from Sankara's revolutionary ideals, ushered in an era of authoritarian rule that lasted for nearly 3 decades. Section 3. The price of perpetual upheaval, a nation adrift. In January 2022, Burkina Faso's fragile democracy was once again shattered by a military coup. Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, citing the Kabore government's failure to address the deteriorating security situation and improve the economy, seized power, promising a return to stability and a renewed focus on combating terrorism. The coup, met with mixed reactions from the population, highlighted the deep sense of frustration and disillusionment with the political status quo. However, Damiba's junta faced many of the same challenges as its predecessors. The security situation continued to deteriorate, with jihadist attacks becoming more frequent and deadly, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and creating a humanitarian crisis. The junta's heavy-handed tactics, including restrictions on freedom of expression and assembly, drew criticism from human rights groups, raising concerns about a return to authoritarianism. Section 1. Guinea, a revolution betrayed, a nation adrift. Guinea, a nation blessed with abundant natural resources yet grappling with a history marred by political turmoil, stands as a poignant example of the devastating impact of military intervention and the cyclical nature of power struggles in Africa. From the ashes of colonial rule to the dashed hopes of a revolution betrayed, Guinea's journey has been one of immense potential squandered by authoritarianism, corruption, and the enduring allure of military solutions. Guinea's story is one of stark contrasts. The weight of history, from Tours to Condé, a cycle of broken promises. Guinea's first foray into independence, under the leadership of Ahmed Sékou Touré, began with a surge of hope and Pan-Africanist zeal. Touré, a charismatic figure who led the country to freedom from French colonial rule in 1958, promised a break from the shackles of the past and a future defined by self-reliance, social progress, and African unity. However, this initial optimism soon gave way to disillusionment as Touré's regime descended into authoritarianism, marked by political repression, human rights abuses, and economic mismanagement. The military, initially hailed as heroes of the liberation struggle, became instruments of Touré's repressive regime, used to silence dissent, consolidate power, and maintain a climate of fear. A glimmer of hope or a descent into authoritarianism? The international outcry following the stadium massacre forced Camara to relinquish power, paving the way for Guinea's first democratic elections in 2010. Alpha Condé, a veteran opposition leader who had spent years in exile, emerged victorious, raising hopes for a new era of democratic governance, respect for human rights, and economic progress. Condé's presidency, while marked by some progress in infrastructure development and economic growth, was also marred by allegations of corruption, shrinking political space, and a crackdown on dissent. His decision to push for a controversial third term in office in 2020 sparked widespread protests and condemnation from the international community. The siren song of military rule, a chimera of stability. The African continent stands at a crossroads, grappling with the enduring legacy of military intervention in its political landscape. From the sun-drenched plains of Mali to the bustling streets of Conakry, the stories of these nations paint a complex and often disheartening picture of the allure and the ultimately illusory nature of military rule. The siren song of the soldier as savior, promising stability and order amidst the chaos of perceived civilian failures, has proven to be a dangerous and often self-defeating melody. The cases of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Guinea stand as stark reminders of the cyclical nature of coups, each one a testament to the deep-seated challenges that continue to plague the continent. Charting a new course, forging a future beyond the barracks. Breaking free from the cycle of coups and fostering a future where the sound of boots on the pavement no longer signals the death knell of democracy requires a multifaceted and long-term approach. It demands a commitment to addressing the root causes of instability, strengthening democratic institutions, promoting good governance, and empowering citizens to hold their leaders accountable. Investing in education, healthcare, and economic opportunity, particularly for young people, is crucial to creating a more just and equitable society, one where the allure of quick fixes and the promise of military solutions lose their appeal.